It's Caroline Kwan, and welcome back to Movie Reviews with Caroline Kwan. Today, we're going to review a movie. Okay, I will talk about Obsession, which I did finally get to see today. And I will say that I greatly enjoyed it. And I'm a little confused by people's reactions who seem to be confused as to the real villain in the film. I thought it was pretty obvious. I, from the get-go, was like, yeah, I know what this is about. Like, I understand. I don't think anyone's actually confused. I don't know, man. I went online and was seeing people's reactions to it, and plenty of people who get it, but then others who don't, including film critics who I respect. This is spoiler free until otherwise, but right now, spoiler free. Were there ways for the themes to be driven home a little harder? Sure. But I thought it was pretty clear. And I will say there were some notes I thought of that could have been effective creatively. Like there were a couple things when I was watching, I went, okay, this would be interesting if they switch the perspective, just that kind of stuff. But like when I got to the end of it, I went, yeah, that was great. And I totally get what is being said here.
I love you so much. A love only the branch of a willow tree could conjure.
She is fucking incredible. She is unbelievably awesome in this role. I was taken with her from the get-go. What an unbelievable debut, which I believe it's her debut. And if not, she's still obviously a relative unknown. So to deliver a powerhouse performance like this, and she is a big reason why the nature of this film and what Curry Barker is saying as far as far as the commentary, like she makes it very clear because of how just committed she is to this performance. She's so good. I think some people think the director Curry is conservative. That's crazy. That's wild to me. I also saw some people try and reduce him to like, oh, this is a very, like kind of try to attack him on being Gen Z. And I was like, I don't understand how that's a negative thing here. In fact, I think his being versed in internet online culture and the, gendered violence that we see online on a daily basis, I think that is informing his commentary in this film. All I'll say is that I saw the trailer and I know who the villain is. Come on now. Yeah, I don't think it was something that you had to like read between the lines. I don't know. I was very confused to see, like I said, people who are respectable film critics say that it was very muddied and that there was too much sympathy for a certain somebody. I didn't feel that at all. And in fact, I thought it was actually a really good depiction of kind of the gray area of abuse and of coercion and all these things that we talk about, and how it's not always black and white, and there is nuance to it. There is nuance that's always required when we talk about these things because of how frequently how frequently in discussions of gendered violence, a lot of people fall in the middle. And so I actually really appreciated the character choices in this film.
You love me more than anyone in the world?
Yes, more than anyone.
Do it. Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. No.
I firmly believe that she is a star. This was her star-making vehicle. She is so good. Oh,
I love you! I love you!
okay. I did see someone say, I actually saw quite a few people say that they're like, I can't look at, I don't know this actor's name, but they're like, I can't. Wait, let me see the one review. Nobody take this in any way, but Bear looks exactly like if Dave Franco and Charlie Kirk had a baby. I don't know why multiple people have said that they see Charlie Kirk in this actor in somewhere in his face. And as I said, there are certainly some changes that I wouldn't be, not changes. Some creative decisions that I was thinking of after I watched this film, which is usually a good sign because that means that I really enjoyed something, but my brain is thinking of different choices that could have been made in the telling of the story, and just a couple things character wise that I was also desiring, but genuinely I got what this film was. So I think maybe what's happening is because it's blowing up in popularity, now people are kind of doing the thing where they're like, actually, I think I'm the only person who didn't like this movie, which you don't have to like a film because a lot of people like it. But also I was reading that type of criticism, from the people saying it looks like I'm one of the few people who didn't like this film. And it, to me, read as, oh, wait, I think you came away with a totally different understanding than what, in my opinion, was pretty clearly presented in the film, like throughout it. The director himself keeps saying that the message and theme isn't subtle. Yeah, which one thing I would say, this is still spoiler free, one thing I would say is I would like to maybe have seen it pulled back a little bit, and then we ramp up, like kind of just a little bit less intense so early on. But again, I fully stand by that it was pretty clear what Curry Barker's commentary was. I don't think it was subtle. In my brain, I'm like, oh, it would have been interesting to see this play out a little more subtly and see other people's reactions as they realize like something's going on here, rather than it being very out the gate, like something is wrong. But then again, people are taking away the wrong message from it. But that, I think, is kind of always going to be the case. Is it as creepy as the trailers? I would say it has a lot of really great creepy moments. I appreciated that it was light on jump scares and heavy on just being really off kilter, and the use of shadows and lighting was really unsettling, and there were some neat things that they did. Yeah, I would say, as somebody who watches a lot of horror and has a very, very high tolerance, there were a lot of real intense moments that also, because I understood what the message of the film was, made me feel like sick. There were some like sick to my stomach type moments that was not just through the use of gore and effects. But it was, yeah, I would say it's more disturbing, unsettling. Okay, God, there's one thing that I really want to say, which to me is also a great moment of commentary, the way that I read it. And it has to do, okay, I'm going to just kind of speak vaguely. It has to do with one of the characters saying that he's being taken advantage of, which I thought was interesting commentary on the nature of of how people love to call women crazy and believe that it's their fault, believe that the reaction is the problem and not what they're reacting to. And I think especially the gender of the person playing a role in that specific line of commentary, you know? And I thought that was, I thought, to me, that spoke to how Nikki is treated by everyone around her, as even in them believing that she's like clearly going through something, right? But instead finding fault with her because they view her behavior, her reactions as the problem, right? And I think that gets into the whole topic of reactive abuse, and also I think just the way that women have historically been pathologized, and how crazy is a very gendered term, and how it is often used to blame women for them reacting to a situation that is actually the problem, and not how they are, not their reaction to it. I think it exposed a lot of hollowness within a lot of these relationships. I found that very realistic. You know, this movie was, despite being quite batshit, as you can tell from the trailer, you get the vibe of that, it did still feel grounded in reality. Like, there were so many things I was thinking about when I was watching it. And I think the way that Nikki is treated, it was clear what the director was, I think, what he was painting there. Do you think Invisible Man did a better job illustrating gender violence? I felt like it did a better job than Obsession. Well, I think they're two different films. Two very different films. One, Invisible Man is about domestic abuse, like very, very specifically about domestic violence. Obsession is a different film from that. There were times where I wanted to cry in this movie, and that is a testament to how fucking good Indy Navarette is. She is so good that she brought a humanity to her character. And to me, like the crux of the film was the one scene. I'm not going to say, but the one scene where we see finally we're like, that's what it is. Like his response to something that she says, it's like, yeah, that right there is solidifying who he is. And it certainly had a lot of laugh out loud, absurdly, but also darkly funny moments. Like truly the audience was busting out laughing at multiple points. And then very quickly it would be this like sense of deep, deep dread. Her going, I don't even know how she did that. I can't even make my face do this. She's like the emoji. Did Will see it with you? If you did, I hope you liked it. Yes. Yeah. I think he felt inspired after. I think this is one of them where both of us, as people who love horror and have written in the horror genre and have felt like it would be awesome to return one day and try and make something, I think we both felt inspired by just how great the film was on such a low budget, the reception to this film, the fact that it's pretty relative unknowns who were cast in one of the biggest movies of the year. Really good interview where Indy describes her horror inspirations for this movie. That was the other thing I would say too, is that you definitely saw Curry Barker's inspirations. And yet it was in a way where it didn't feel like a hodgepodge. It didn't feel like somebody who doesn't have their own clear voice, like doesn't have their own vision, and instead is just kind of taking from other films that are great films in the genre. I felt like I felt like his inspirations and influences were really clear, and they had some really fun homage moments, but that it didn't reduce the film to just a hodgepodge of other better horror movies.
You said you watched a lot of horror films in preparation for this.
Before we even started filming, we watched Hereditary.
Peter! Oh my God.
Every single time that I walked into the bathroom, I just would look up. And then specifically for Nikki, Pearl was one that we watched. I love Mia Goth. The way that she portrays her characters, you go, I understand you.
What did I do wrong?
That's what I wanted people's response to Nikki to be.
Why are you leaving me? What did you say? Why did you change? I love you, Rosie!
There's a scene in the diner where we're saying no.
No.
And there was a scene in Get Out where a person's underneath another person.
No, don't do that!
Oh my God.
I also was reading that Curry Barker had her practice in the mirror, that he wanted her to really find a way to incorporate like her talking in a mirror, right? Delivering her lines to a mirror, and how that is reflective of what the character is going through, which I thought was an interesting, an interesting acting exercise. She was brilliant. Male lead is emotionless for most of the early movie. Also sucks. The movie is told through the male. So that's why a couple of my notes, one of which I had a couple notes, one of which was I would have liked to see a perspective shift. It didn't ruin the movie for me. I wasn't like, well, I couldn't enjoy that at all. But I was kind of picturing how it could be strengthened in a couple of different ways. One of which, if we had a perspective shift, another, if we got more interiority to the male lead. Like there were a couple of conversations I was playing out in my head as additions to the film, which would have revealed more character. But, you know, you make the choices that you make. What do you mean more interiority? So specifically with him, because sorry, I don't really want to say I'm still trying to do spoiler free. Maybe switching to Nikki might have revealed too much of the mechanics that work in the macro sense. Well, I think it depends on how you do it. And I think seeing her interact with other characters without him around, right? Or just having and not necessarily doing it where like the first half is him and then the second half is her. It doesn't have to be necessarily like a 50-50, but just also not, because there was a lot of him reacting to what's happening, and it's a lot of the same, because he's very like, woe is me. he's very, oh my God, this is crazy. So anyway, just to kind of maybe throw some other flavors in there. And I think if we had gotten some more characterization from him, because I felt like I knew more of who she was. So all that to say, I thought I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very impressive. Do I think it's a masterpiece? No, I don't. But I definitely thought it was great. And I appreciated what it brought.